um, Chinese sausage, and rice. I put saran wrap because I'm too lazy to do to wash the plate. But I'm pretty surprised about how the many people like to view boring people. I don't see myself as boring. But anyway, I do want to talk about two things, right? I want to talk about the Epstein files that was released, and then I also want to talk about that I was driving and I was listening to the radio, and there was this, the host on the radio. They were talking about like we're losing about like 16,000 jobs a week or something like that in the United States. I don't know what kind of numbers where they're getting it from, but apparently, they got it from somewhere, so that's cool. $16,000 a week, right? So then I mean, obviously they're not associating it to anybody or anything with that or any presidency or anything like that. They were in the beginning, but nowadays they're not really doing that anymore, right? Um, I mean, it's a lot of broadcasting and media and stuff. They're left leaning, so that yeah. So a lot of times they're like really go hard on the conservative end if they see something negative, right? So that means so this is a negative part of what do you call it? This is a negative part of society, right? When the economy or whatever is doing well, right? The number reflects it, right? We have higher hires in the market. Um, like this, they're keeping up all the markets are up high still, right? There's no crash. Yes, inflation is still up there. Yes, fruit prices aren't down, right? Um, People are struggling to work or struggling to put food on the table or whatnot, right? We had the government shut down for a little bit, right? But here's the thing, right? So then you have all these um, large companies letting go of their employees, right? I mean, you hear about it in the news all the time, or like retail shops are shutting down or whatnot, right? Yeah, I mean, it was encouraging, right? So the radio host, was like, "Well, you got any ideas of um side hustles? You know what I mean? Let's share it. Let's so other people can do it too, right?" So I'm like, I'm the person that always look for side hustles, right? Whether it be playing games or you know selling things online or whatever. You know what I mean? TikTok shop, right? TikTok shop affiliate programs. I found that to be a very good thing. Um, I mean, I'm pretty new to the platform, but I mean, this is the first platform that probably the fastest um, monetizing platform. I'd say if you just push for it. You know what I mean? There's no way to go about it. You know what I mean? You don't need to go viral, right? People think that virality is gonna be the way to make money and then getting people engaged or whatever, right? Yeah, they'll pay you for your streams or whatnot, right? Not streams, but like your views. But I think the best way to do it is to meet the qualifications and to get paid by helping out the TikTok shops sell their merchandise. You know what I mean? They do give up to 20% or more on their product sales. So it is what it is, and a lot of times I enjoy getting the products anyway. So you know what I mean. Like if you were to go check out my showcase on TikTok Shop, you'll see. You know what I mean. Like literally, it sells itself. I don't have to do anything. You know what I mean. Like every time I post a content, they're just gonna go through all my things anyways. You know what I mean. Like why'd you look at your profile, and then they're just like, I don't want to be a part of this guy's profile. But then they'll go to the showcase, and then they're just like, okay, let me click through, right? And then they might stay there, and they'll click through to the page and make a buy, right? So it has a lot of potential. That's all I'm saying. Okay, so that's one thing I want to put out there, right? You know what I mean? You guys looking for side hustle money and whatnot, and and you like to post up content anyway. You know what I mean? Go ahead and look for the qualifications, right? I think you need about like um to start off. I think you need about like 1,000 followers to get on the creative pilot program. Right? They test you out, and then if collaborators starts to want to collaborate with you, then that's where you kind of start, and then when you end up being able to, like, I think, get 5,000 followers, then they kind of let you have free reign, right? But I don't know all the rules. You know what I mean? So please don't knock me on it, guys, or TikTok. But okay, the next thing is the Epstein files, right? So let's go back a few months, right? When you have when you have Israel fighting with um Gaza, right? Or the Hamas before they had a peace agreement deal or whatever, right? What transpired? You know what I mean? So you have all these like major influencers just kind of you know start start to move towards the side where the humanitarian side of them started to choose, like, the Palestine over, like, literally over the the Israel state, right, or the Jewish state or whatnot. And then you see like personalities or influencers like Candace Owens, Tucker Carlson, um, Nick Fuentes. I mean, all those guys are like very strong personalities, right? A type personalities, and they generally in the beginning, right? Maybe so for Nick Fuentes, but you look at Candace Owens and Carl Tuckerson, whatever them be. They were major Trump supporter, right? And then they started backing out. And the reason why is because it's a weird reason, you know. Everyone knows that America is will always be allies with with Israel, you know. So, but like their humanitarian side, right? When they see something that's kind of not seemingly right about like war and stuff, they always tend to go on the side of who's more of a victim, right? You know what I mean? So, you know, when Biden was in office, right? They disregarded like you know um, the foreign uh, policies of the United States when it comes to Israel. Right? They disregarded it, right? But when it comes to funding, you're just in there like, well, if you disregard it, why are you still giving funding to Israel, right? You know, and they will always say, well, Israel has a right to defend themselves. Israel has a right to defend themselves, right? You know, and then you see the war going on, right? But then they never decided to like back Israel up in a way where you know they wanted like the hostages to be freed, right? Which is the hostages that the Hamas people had taken. So it was just like that, and they never spoke on it, right? So when Trump came along, he's like, well, we are a Christian nation, you know what I mean? Like, what do we do, right? So he just nipped it in the bud. That's all it is. He just nipped it in the bud, right? So, um, and so now, like okay, well, he nipped it in the bud, right? And then people hate him for it. That makes sense, you know what I mean? But then and then it creates this appearance that okay, he's a ruler. He's he's too strong or whatever, right? But his message is peace through strength, right? You know what I mean? Like, what are we gonna have a never-ending, war, right? So, and that's the issue. So with the Epstein file being released right now, right? And then people are saying, well, why wasn't it released throughout the whole years of the Biden presidency, right? Yeah, 4 years to release it. Well, it was never released. You know what I mean? And then they release it now, all of a sudden, right? When it seems like Trump, has a lot of grace coming towards his side because he's proven to like keep everything intact and in order still after showing up to work. It's almost like okay, well, we don't have nothing else. You know, let's just drop this now.